Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squad for boxing news and views from around the internet. Derek Chisora has delivered an emphatic performance at the O2 in London, starching Artur Szpilka in 2 rounds. We'll start with the knockout before getting to the what next, because it was a brief fight all over into ruthless finish, and Chisora wants Parker, and Eddie Hearn, his promoter, says he can make that fight. Parker is also promoted by Hearn. So the knockout, round 2, a wide looping right hand stuns Artur Szpilka. It had been something that Chisora had been looking to land in the early part of the fight, and it was all the early part of the fight to be fair, but he caught up with Szpilka, stuns him, and time almost stood still for a second as Chisora sort of registered that Szpilka was hurt. He looked like he was in a bad way and ruthlessly follows up and finishes him. A couple of punches come flying in, and it's another right hand which absolutely destroys Artur Szpilka. It was probably at the point where the fight was could have been called off, but Chisora, with a ruthless streak, comes in and puts his lights out. He was down very hard like a sack of potatoes off a cliff. Artur Szpilka was out of there, and Derek Chisora, very impressive performance. And I guess it does raise the question about Artur Szpilka. I said in my pre-fight coverage that you didn't know how this fight was going to go, and part of that was Szpilka. Was he damaged goods? Could he actually stand up to the rigors of a fight at this level anymore? Clearly not, but you can't take away from Derek Chisora what he was actually doing in there, because that was pretty savage stuff, and exactly the sort of performance and statement that he did need to get in the conversation for a bigger and better fight. This was at a certain level, sort of a fringe contender level, where both guys, it was almost like loser leaves town. And for Artur Szpilka, well, I think that is the case. He actually looked decent in the first round, but the way that his durability is these days, and we saw it again in this fight, and he's been knocked out a number of times now, and quite ruthlessly on at least 3 occasions. Adam Kovnatsky, Deontay Wilder, especially brutal, and now Derek Chisora. Chisora stopping Szpilka the earliest out of those 3, and that was in the second round in this fight. For Derek Chisora, really a performance eye-catching, and it gets him in the conversation for these bigger fights. And he actually said in the post-fight that age is nothing but a number, that he had a difficult camp trying to sort of deal with the southpaw sparring, and he wanted to pull out, but it was the final part of camp where things started clicking and went well. He said he still feels like he's 16, he still wants to fight. And his promoter David Hayes said, look, he needed this performance, he needed a spectacular performance to prove he was worthy of fighting the elite. And he said he wants the Parker fight, and he felt it was an easy fight to make. And Eddie Hearn was also on the spot for the post-fight interview. He said that, there's something about Chisora and the O2, and he said, yeah, let's do the Parker fight. Chisora, Parker, let's go. So that does look to be the obvious what's next for Derek Chisora. And it was a fight that they were almost had earlier this year for the April 20 card, which was also at the O2. Because Parker pulled out, said he didn't get the contract in enough time, it didn't get made, and Chisora went on to face Senad Gashi on that undercard. And yeah, that performance against Gashi sort of almost lowered his stock, because the movement, Gashi was negative, didn't want to engage. It wasn't a great fight to watch. But this really does get the buzz back going for Derek Chisora, kind of like after when he stopped Carlos Takam in very stunning fashion. So if they do make Chisora and Parker, I think there is going to be more interest in that. I think after that performance against Artur Szpilka, pretty ruthless and devastating, some people will go, actually, Chisora does have a decent shot in that fight. But he has been a nearly man in the division. So at this stage, I would say if they do make it, I would probably, because Chisora's come up short at world level, I would back Parker and his movement and his boxing. I think he would look to box Derek Chisora and really try to go the distance. And we do know that Joseph Parker has a very good chin. Unlike Artur Szpilka, where there was a question whether he was damaged goods, Joseph Parker has demonstrated time and time again that he's got one of the best chins in the division, getting up from the brutal left hook that Dillian Whyte landed on him in their fight, whereas Chisora was not. Would I pick Joseph Parker to knock out Derek Chisora? Well, I'm not going that far, but if they make that fight, I think it's going to be a good one. I think there'd be some good close quarters action. I think Parker would look to trade with him in spots, but I think he would be looking to utilize movement and outbox Derek Chisora to rack up the rounds. Could go to points. But if they do make it, I like that fight. I've liked it as a interim step for Joseph Parker as he makes his way back to the top of the division following a couple of losses to White and Anthony Joshua. What did you make of this performance? Derek Chisora, for me, he proved he's still got something. Obviously, the punch power and the canniness is still there. He's tried to work out the southpaw and was able to do so, looking to land that looping right hand, that looping right hook, and really that was game over when he did. Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.